And we thought if you can breed cats, why not breed cannabis? Fortunately, not back in 2009 or 2010.
Now, I'm also doing a giveaway in this video, so you will be receiving one of 5 NFTs. If you're one of the lucky winners, all you have to do is find the secret code that is going to be played throughout this video under QR code. So you need to scan the QR code that you see popping up until you reveal that secret code. And then you have to like this tweet that you're going to see with the video on Twitter, retweet it. And you also have to follow myself if you don't already follow me, and also follow CryptoChronic. So those are the conditions that you need to follow, and send me a DM if you have done all of that. And the first 5 people to send me DM are going to get the NFTs. Hello and welcome to Crypto's Chain. My name is Claudio, and joining me today is Marco, who's the CEO and founder of CryptoChronic. It's not just an NFT collection, but it's also an interesting game, and he's here to talk about it. It is on Ethereum, by the way. It is going to launch on OpenSea. So it is interesting because OpenSea is a very popular marketplace when it comes to NFTs. You know, everybody uses it. It's on Ethereum. It's on a very popular blockchain. So Marco, thank you very much for taking the time to join. Before we begin with CryptoChronic, can you please give us a bit of background about you? Like, when did you get started with crypto?
Did I get started with crypto? Not, unfortunately, not back in 2009 or 2010 when I would have hoped for. I actually have an interesting and not a linear background and not a linear career. I come from finance, banking, and hedge funds, and I started getting quite bored of that around 7 years ago. And I decided to stop finance. I produced a movie, and then it went pretty well. And I thought that if I could do that, I could do anything. And so I produced the first video game, and a video game that we launched a couple of years ago on Steam. And already from there, I started embracing crypto. I'm a bit of a dreamer and a bit of a visionary, hopefully. And I thought that crypto managed to solve problems which were really heartfelt and managed to bring things forward considerably. So I embraced it, let's say, about 4 to 5 years ago. And since then, I started investing in it heavily. I started imagining new projects and working on really tangible ones, such as CryptoChronic, which we're launching on Tuesday the 18th.
So let's talk about CryptoChronic then. Why did you decide to create this project? What is the purpose and what does it do?
Well, leveraging a private blockchain for a first free-to-air model, we try to reinvent Pokemon as cannabis-themed digital pet collectibles that you can breed, nurture, and battle in multiplayer smoke-offs. Users benefit from consistent, highly competitive pricing and depth of gameplay that adds and preserves value throughout a deflationary ecosystem. The idea here is to reach out to our targets, which are millennials and Gen Z, utilizing an adult theme and utilizing cannabis as a theme. We studied statistics, we studied markets, and there's a clear convergence and correlation between cannabis and video games. Some marketing sources define it the birth of a canna gamer, in which basically consumes cannabis and 80% plays video games. So there's obviously an overlap.
Yeah, I was going to ask how did you come up with the idea of cannabis and to integrate it with video games? But now that you mentioned that, it makes sense now. So you've studied the statistics on the amount of people that reported that are smoking cannabis and playing video games. And that's how you came up with this.
Well, originally, yes. In fact, the first video game which I produced on Steam is called Blazed Revolutions, and also had a cannabis theme. It was set in a dystopic future in which hundreds of years of bad government, let's put it that way, brought the world into a desolate, a wasteland, a post-industrial wasteland. And by cultivating, smoking and selling cannabis, you can make it a colorful, musical, and fun place again. And we launched that some years ago. We learned a lot of lessons. We brought forward the concept. Actually, CryptoChronic was born as an idea, as a side game, if you wish, to that one. And then instead, it was released as something completely different, embracing the blockchain, because at the time, I hadn't yet really understood what the potential was. And it felt absolutely perfect, ideal at the time. CryptoKitties was launching, and we thought if you can breed cats, why not breed cannabis? And it kind of made sense, and it took a long time in the making, but here we are.
Now let's talk about how the structure actually works. So you have to actually mint NFTs which represent cannabis plants. But then what do you do with those NFTs? What is the purpose?
So, well, first and foremost, we are a freemium game. So we are free to, gamers have a choice. They can choose to purchase NFTs on a public chain, on Ethereum. And these NFTs have a market. You can buy and sell them. You can monetize them. But you can also play the game without having to spend anything up front. The game issues 3 NFTs free for each gamer, but they're on our private chain. Our private chain is based on Ethereum, and it enables us to apply a freemium model to the whole game. The way it works is that each NFT, whether it is on the public chain or on the private, it represents a unique, absolutely unique strain of cannabis, which belongs uniquely to the gamer. And these strains of cannabis need to be taken care of, need to be grown, and need to be fed fertilizer, water, light, and depending on how well you take care of them, and the battles, which basically are very similar to Pokemon meets blackjack, if you wish. But importantly, what happens is that 2 strains of chronic, 2 unique tokens, can meet, fall in love, and create breed, and create other tokens, other chronics. These chronics also will be on the private chain, and there's a whole journey that the gamer will have to endure, if you wish, to bring his tokens from the private chain onto the public chain eventually, and monetize them. So by taking care of them, by growing their stats, by winning battles, by accruing experience, they gain the necessary characteristics to then really be able to launch on the public chain and monetize. Because all these are NFTs. They will be available also on our own marketplace and on secondary other third-party marketplaces such as OpenSea. In a nutshell, this is how it works.
Interesting. Okay, very, very nicely explained. So let's talk about the number of mints that you can have. What is the maximum number of mints?
Absolutely. So again, with the fact that we are a game in mind, we do not have a limited supply when we're talking about the game. We do have a limited supply when we're talking about our Gen Zeros and our launch, which is 5,040. We have 5,040 NFTs on the Ethereum network. These will have special characteristics. So they will have enhanced rarity features, and they will have enhanced fertility. And these are limited to 5,040. Being also Gen Zeros, they're on the blockchain as Gen Zeros, so we'll probably have a much higher valuation later down the line. And in addition to the fact that it will be a lot easier to find the super rare traits, and therefore create extra value for our early adopters, which we really do want to take care of and attract towards our community.
Okay, so now I need to ask, will the Gen 1s be the ones that are bred between the Gen Zs? So the 2 Gen Zs can breed a Gen 1. Will it be marked as a Generation 1 so that people can see that it's a Generation 1, or?
Everything is on the blockchain and it's on Ethereum, so everybody can see everything.
No, but I mean in terms of visual on the NFT itself. Will it say Gen 1?
No, visual it won't see. You will see you'll be able to tell from it will be mentioned that it's a Gen 1 and not a Gen 0.
Okay.
But you won't be able to, it's not a different graphic representation. They don't have a different shape or different, but they're going to be the same.
Okay.
And fully integrated.
Could a Gen 1 be more powerful than a Gen 0?
First and foremost, talking about powerful is wrong, because we strive to really be not a pay to win. The whole structure of how we do our battles is very much based on the fact that very similar to blackjack. So you basically have to get one of the judges high without getting him too high.
Oh, okay.
And so the idea is that there's no real token which is better than the other. Every token has its real value in a specific moment. Because like blackjack, you can have a token with a very high value, which is very useful if you have a very small value to start with, and depending on your judge.
To get 21.
Likewise, sometimes a token with a very short value will be really useful in that moment. What increases and what decreases are elements of rarity. So each token has a series of layers, and each layer has a factor of rarity. The rarer the token, obviously, the higher the value and the higher the price. And the rarity factor does not necessarily influence on the effectiveness in battle, for example, but it does influence on the monetization aspect.
Okay, interesting. Cool. Thank you for explaining that. Now it makes sense. So let's talk about other blockchains. Are you considering staying on Ethereum, or are you also looking at other blockchains, like maybe Binance Smart Chain, maybe Polkadot, maybe Avalanche, Cosmos? You know, there are just so many ecosystems out there which also have like NFT marketplaces.
Absolutely, a very good question. We do come also, our purpose is to try to solve issues that we find are endemic within the crypto and NFT GameFi market specifically. Obviously, the gas fees of Ethereum are one of the first things which made us try to think of an alternative, and that is why we are embracing our own private chain, which we do leverage for the gamification aspect of the whole process. Now, we were originally looking at Polygon, which we like very much, which has much lower fees and is much easier to use. However, we felt that Polygon was not ready for us, and we were not ready for Polygon at the time. And we wanted to leverage a little bit the reach and the solidity that Ethereum provides. We reserve ourselves the right in the future to evolve, to embrace other blockchains, to try to deliver constantly the best possible product to our gamers and to our members of our community. So also depending on what they indicate, we're very open to it.
Now let's talk about some of the challenges that you found when you are building CryptoChronic. Like, were there like I don't know, regulatory challenges, blockchain challenges, anything like that, implementation challenges?
Well, I mentioned CryptoChronic strives to be a little bit more than just a game. So we were born to try to solve endemic issues that we found needed to be solved. We strive really for the democratization of the crypto market, for its widespread acceptation. We really want the masses to embrace it. We believe very strongly in it. We believe very strongly that gaming is a perfect way to leverage the benefits of crypto and to bring the traditional gamer, for example, towards crypto. So the first issue that we found was that the offer out there might indeed, in some cases, let's say at least, be quite decentralized. It is not democratized anymore. Crypto was born with the purpose of being democratizing markets and decentralizing them. We find that, for example, the pricing structure which is involved, the prices which are very high, both we mentioned before gas fees, but also platform fees. We are talking about all these fees and these costs being highly intransparent, being very highly inconsistent, and being very hard to predict. And so we found the first issue which really needed to be tackled was the issue of high costs of entry and trying to keep the cost structure as linear, predictable, and affordable as possible. Henceforth, the private chain, henceforth our pricing structure, we try to be very cheap, very straightforward. Breeding is a fixed amount. It's not like in, for example, Axie Infinity tied to the NFT price per se, which is highly volatile. It just becomes anti-economical to breed because it's a sort of, you become a victim of your own success. We don't want that. So that was the first issue we're trying to solve. We believe that there's very little utility out there in other projects. Again, we mentioned the apes, not to speak badly of our competition, but we find that it's It's almost a little bit of a waste of the potential of a blockchain. And so we try to give as much utility as possible. I mentioned before, our NFTs are much more than a glorified profile pics. We mean it. Again, each one of our tokens is embedded with up to 13 features. These features are, yes, aesthetic, like apes or crypto kitties or similar things, but they're also much deeper and enable a much more engaging relationship between the token, if you wish, and the gamer. We created for this purpose a series of game loops, which are drawn and designed to draw the gamer in and provide the gamer value at each step. So that's the next problem that we found, is that in many of our competitor projects, the gameplay per se does not really build on the value of the tokens and on the value that the gamer will then manage to extrapolate from the project. And if it does do that, it does very little to preserve it. So very often we're talking about highly inflationary ecosystem with very few guidelines set in space to somehow manage to safeguard everybody's interests. And we are trying to do that in a series of manners.
Let's talk about what is the plan to expand on this idea, like as per your roadmap. I see that you're also going to create a mobile version, right? That's also in the plan.
Yes, absolutely. So our vision is the Cannaverse. It's a cannabis-themed metaverse in which barriers between the digital virtual world and the real world are somehow overcome, abolished, and demolished. The best way to do this, we thought, was by imagining a mobile app, a mobile game, which we call Pokemon Go, which is basically Pokemon Go meets Weed Maps. I don't know if you're familiar with Weed Maps. It's a very popular app in the US where cannabis is legal, which is basically based on Google Maps. But it's like a TripAdvisor mixed with Google Maps for the cannabis world.
Yeah.
And we want to somehow embrace the concept, mix it with Pokemon Go, and have a video game in augmented reality, which brings CryptoChronic into the pockets of every one of our gamers and maybe outside, in the open and on the streets. So not necessarily into their homes.
Now let's talk about the minting. So is it possible for a user to mint right now, or do they need to wait a number of days before minting is going to be like fully live and usable?
Yes. We are launching on Tuesday, the 18th of July at 2 o'clock Central European time. Our taps will open, and everybody is invited to join us on our website, www.cryptochronic.com. And which there's very clear instructions on the site on how to proceed. But the idea is, yes, anybody can go mint their own tokens at a price of 0.03 Ether. And if you are lucky enough to be on the whitelist, that price has a 50% discount, so about 0.015 Ether. Anybody with MetaMask can come and start playing our game.
So thank you very much for watching. Thank you as well, Marco, for taking the time to join and explain what CryptoChronic is about. Please don't forget to check the links in the description of this video and also in the pinned comment. Take care.